The bye week is over. We're back here at House of Horns. I'm Gilbert Manzano, Rams beat reporter for the OC Register, LA Daily News. And as always, joining me here, Victor Corona, Victor the producer, Victor Javier Corona. I feel refreshed. Maybe you could tell because I'm pretty pumped up for this intro here at House of Horns. We are already approaching 300 subscribers. You know what? I'm going to just say we're at 300 subscribers because by the time you're watching this show, you probably subscribed and helped us get to 300. But Victor, are you refreshed? Are you ready to go? Because the bye week is over, man. No more staying home and chilling.
Yeah, it was weird on Sunday for me. I even texted you. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm supposed to be getting ready and having some notes ready for you." And you're like, "No, man, put those notes away." And I did, and I enjoyed my Sunday of watching football. But we're back now. We're off the bye week. We got plenty of news for you guys. We got the what happened with the McCaffrey trade, especially after we had published it, and the next day comes out and he gets traded to the 49ers. We have your usual stuff with our news and notes from Gilbert. We got player matchups, the X factors, keys to the game, and of course our betting spotlight for you guys today. But Gilbert, what about you, man? How was your bye week?
It was a little uneasy because I am new to the Rams beat. I used to cover the Chargers. They don't make as many trades. With the Rams, you got to be on high alert. Even during the bye week, it could be a big trade coming. You never know. Even today, when I spoke to Sean McVay, people were asking, "Hey, the trade deadline is Tuesday. Any trades coming up?" Like he will tell us anyways, but worth a try when you ask him. He's like, nothing imminent, but you never know with us. It could be a trade. So I'm like, okay, that's the Rams kind of approach. You never know where a trade could happen. So the first couple of days I was on edge. Okay, it could be a Christian McCaffrey trade. They could find a trade partner for Cam Akers. So I couldn't really like focus or unplug because of that. But then when the Christian McCaffrey trade went down, it feels like forever now, Victor. We're going to discuss a little more later because we have to get to it. It's a big time trade with the Rams and the 49ers involved. And obviously by now, the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey. But, I was, thinking, okay, they could, trade for him and my bye week is over. But that did not happen. Selfishly, I got to unwind after that. But I'm sure a lot of Rams fans were hoping that I did have to work during the bye week because that means they got McCaffrey. Or maybe some Rams fans are okay with not having McCaffrey. We'll get into it, Victor. But enough about me. I'm well rested. I'm more excited that we finally got the giveaway. We're done with the giveaway, Victor. Somebody
Yes,
claimed the Aaron Donald T-shirt. And first of all, thank you for helping us get to 200 subscribers here at House of Horns. That was a whole
300.
giveaway. Get to that point, and now we're at 300. So that's how quickly we got there, and especially because people got excited with that Christian McCaffrey trade. But real quick, shout out Ryan F from Utah. I'll just say Ryan F. I don't know if Ryan wants the last name out there. We got you here. Maybe you do want the name. We'll mention it. But Ryan F. From Utah got the Aaron Donald giveaway T-shirt, and hopefully we could do a little more giveaways to get people excited, Victor.
Yeah, congratulations there to Ryan. It's awesome to have people start to find us, and thank you guys for subscribing. We really appreciate it. This is something that Gilbert here and the rest of the compas, we've kind of little by little we've been plugging away, and now we're starting to get an audience. So, and it's all thanks to people who are finding us, man. So, and we're happy that people are getting the benefits of it by getting a t-shirt like the Aaron Donald one. So hopefully he enjoys it and he lets us know if it fits, how it
Yeah.
looks and all that. So that'll be kind of cool to find out. But what else do you have for us, Gilbert?
Yeah, real quick before I mention what else we have, because I'm excited for this interview too. Uh, One thing that I really enjoyed so far is seeing all the comments and the engagement, and that was one of the biggest priorities that we had here at House of Horror is getting not just subscribers but engagement, making a community for Rams fans to just engage in the comments, ask questions. So if you're watching the video, give us a question. We want to start answering them for the following week. So but definitely, we love the engagement. But the other thing we want to promote before we get to the actual show to break down this big, I don't have I even mentioned it, the big showdown with the 49ers part two.
Exactly.
Before we get to
Yes.
that point, because the bye week is over, as I mentioned. We have another video that we recently posted on the channel here, House of Horns, is our interview with our good friend, a compa, a true homie of the show, Cam Inman. He covers the 49ers for the Bay Area news group, San Jose Mercury News. So you want a point of view from the enemy, the opposing side. Check out the interview with Cam Inman. He really breaks down how this 49ers team looks with Christian McCaffrey, what the Rams defense should expect from Jimmy G and CMC, and then maybe no Debo Samuel. How would that affect the team? So overall, if you want that different point of view, go check that out here in the channel with Cam Inman, because Cam always breaks it down. But enough promoting, enough with the just banter, jabber, whatever you want to call it, Victor. I'm ready for some news and notes.
Yeah, let's get to the news and notes. We have a bunch of stuff that happened before you get to the news and notes that I kind of want to go over.
Yes, sir.
Aside from the Christian McCaffrey trade that happened with the 49ers and the Panthers, we also had Aaron Donald parting ways with Kanye West, with Donda. That happened a couple days ago. So that was a big story. You also have a bunch of players returning from the IR. So, Gilbert, give us all the scoop. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Victor, I know you have the tabs on this too. So if I missed something, because there's so many players
Yes,
coming back,
I'm
reinforcements
listening.
for the Rams. So you'll keep an eye on that for me. But let's start with the big ones, and got some background noise here, but if you hear it, sorry about
Please.
that. But with the big ones, Van Jefferson, the wide receiver, and the center, Brian Allen, are back at practice. And put it this way, it's how excited people are on Twitter, because I just did a play-by-play of practice. It was Matthew Stafford under center, taking the snap from Brian Allen, and then just a little quick throw to Van Jefferson to warm up to start practice. And people got excited. I think I got over 300 likes on Twitter. And that's the kind of scene you want to see. That's a welcome sight right there. Van Jefferson, Brian Allen snapping the ball. So these are two big vital pieces to the Rams offense. And Victor, as everybody knows here, this Rams offense was struggling to protect. They were struggling to generate big explosive plays. Now they get an enforcer, a top communicator in Brian Allen, and then a big play threat in Van Jefferson. And I know I'm new to the Rams beat, but all I hear about is like this Van Jefferson guy. He's not just a big play threat. He's a complete wide receiver, has good command of the offense, good blocker, all that. So they're really we're missing him, and they welcome him back this week. And I'm not sure if Van Jefferson will play, but all signs point to Van Jefferson being available to the 49ers. He's still technically on that 21-day window to return from IR. But it sounds like I wouldn't be surprised he's activated tomorrow or Friday. So definitely Brian Allen already told us he's gonna play. And check out my story, by the way, at the OC Register, because he has some great quotes. Brian Allen, like he said, watching the struggling offense without him, and then with so many injuries, felt like seeing his brother getting punched, getting into a fight, and he couldn't be there to come in and throw a sucker punch to the people who are beating up his brothers. So Brian Allen and Van Jefferson are back. And then what else do we got here? Kyron Williams, the rookie running back here, and Quentin Lake, the rookie safety from UCLA. I know, Victor, you keep tabs on the UCLA football. And before I get to Kyron, Sean McVay really likes Quentin Lake, 6th-round pick, the rookie there, who had a knee issue, who didn't even participate in training camp at all, hasn't practiced all year, hasn't played in a game, came back to practice, he's off the PUP list. And Sean McVay said, Quentin Lake, if you're putting stock into players, he's your guy. That's high praise for a guy who hasn't really done anything in the NFL. And
You
Kyron
know who
Williams,
his dad is, right?
go ahead and say it.
Carnell Lake, man. If for those people who are old as I am would know who Carnell Lake is. He was a great safety. So he's the and his other brother was actually really good. He actually, if you're from the San Fernando Valley, you know about the other son who played at Taft. So yes.
Yeah, all I hear about from McVay is like he's a son of a player, and I started doing my research. Like, oh, that guy, he's really good. So, good football family there for Quentin Lake, and then Kyron Williams. People are interested in Kyron Williams because they're stashing him in fantasy football rosters, just in case. It sounds like he's probably a week or two away. He came back like to practice as a designated for return from IR, but he's not at the level of Van Jefferson because They want to be patient with the ankle injury. Kyron Williams got hurt in the opening kickoff of week 1. That's tough there. But here's my next one, and if it's gonna suck for the Rams if Kyron can't go. Well, pretty much Sean McVay said Kyron's not gonna play this week. But remember, no Cam Akers either. So that's 2 running backs that won't be available. And now Darrell Henderson, this is on Wednesday, keep in mind, did not practice because of an illness. And we'll see. We'll monitor that. And hopefully for the Rams, he's out there because they're very thin at running back. And like I mentioned, last thing here, if I forget something, you let me know. You correct me, Victor. Cam Akers will not practice with the Rams. I'm not even sure he was even around the team. Sean McVay sent Cam Akers home before the bye week. And yeah, it's a messy situation. They're trying to trade him. I don't know they're going to find a trade partner because the Rams have no leverage here. People are already assuming they want to get rid of him. Teams are probably waiting for the Rams to cut ties. Then they'll get him on waivers or whatever, or as a free agent. So I don't think they'll trade him before the deadline, or maybe somebody. We're seeing injuries around the NFL, Victor. James Robinson went to the New York Jets after Breece Hall got hurt, and that was only a 6th-round pick. So I don't know what you could get for Cam Akers, but Cam Akers is not with the team still. Don't hold your breath for him coming back. And Darrell Henderson is 6. So is that Malcolm Brown? Is that Ronnie Rivers getting the start? We don't know, but we'll keep tabs on that here at House of Horns. Victor, did I miss anything? Because that was very long.
Yeah, I know you went kind of long there, but you gave us a bunch of information there. The only thing that I see here that you didn't talk about was some of the players on defense that are coming back, like
Yeah,
Troy Hill,
there we
Kobe
go.
Durant, and Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
So,
Troy Hill is also practicing. Kobe Durant seems like he's ready to play this week. I think even Troy Hill is going to be ready. That's going to be big. Two cornerbacks there. And then Bobby Brown had an ankle injury in training camp, but also was suspended for the first 6 games. I think he'll be ready to go as well, or they might be patient for Bobby Brown to kind of ease into there. And you'll get into it later, Victor, because they need some pass rush help or some defensive line help here. And there's high praise for Bobby Brown there. So we'll see how he does if he comes back this week. But yeah, defense also has reinforcements. Sorry about that. I don't know why, but I feel like we're all focusing on the offensive line for the Rams.
yeah, no, I mean they're the ones that have been struggling. That's who everybody has been talking about. How they've been the problem for we know the defense has been pretty good, so it's understandable. But it's good to see that they're gonna have some key players back. So, um, yeah, I'm here trying to add a banner for us as we go along.
Yeah, no
But
worries,
let's
because
go
I
ahead.
know it's last minute, so I'll just start it. And I know
Yeah,
it's kind of a stale news, but I want to give it at least 5 minutes here and discussing the Christian McCaffrey trade. There you go, Victor. You're a fast typer. CMC trade impact. The 2 teams that are really involved in the CMC trade were the Rams and the 49ers. And when you saw what the 49ers gave up to get Christian McCaffrey, you understand why the Rams didn't go all in, because they don't have enough chips on the table because they already gave it up for Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller last year. All these teams, all these players, all these trades over the years, and and maybe they weren't as aggressive because they just won the Super Bowl. Eventually you got to figure out the future. So if you're seeing this segment here about the CMC trade, if you're a Rams fan, give me your reactions or your comments. Like, are you bummed out that the Rams didn't get Christian McCaffrey, or are you saying, hey, this is a better result because they give up a 2nd-round pick, a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a couple of future picks for the following year. So, and they pick up the tab on Christian McCaffrey's remaining 3 years on the contract. I want to say it's $36.6 million. That's a whole lot there for a running back, Victor. So, you know, I will say this to summarize. I think the 49ers won the trade for now. They went all in. This team could compete, and now they have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, George Kittle, Trent Williams is coming back at left tackle. I think he already did. If Jimmy G could just give it to his playmakers, this team is very good. The future, there's a whole lot of consequences, and I don't think the Rams want to pay for that. So I think the Rams sort of in a way dodged a bullet, but it's just tough to see that guy McCaffrey in your division for the next 2 or 3 years. So I think the Rams were better to maybe wait for a pass rusher. Maybe Brian Burns is out there. I don't know, Victor. Uh, but Rams fans or listeners of House of Forms, let me know how you feel about the CMC aftermath. But Victor, what do you think?
I For me, it was interesting to see how everything came out, like some of the things that we got in terms of how everything went down. It sounds like the Rams and the 49ers kind of offer the same thing, and then the 49ers added one more trade chip in there or a pick, and that's how they were able to land. And so in the end, I think in the end, the Rams kind of gave them a way to get more picks out of it. So in terms, they probably won this thing because they didn't have to give up anything. Like they just made the 49ers spend more money to go get TNC. On the other end with the Rams, it tells you that they're in for stars. They want to go get a star, and they're a star. They know that this is a star-driven city, and if you're gonna compete, as we've talked about, you're gonna need to go get a star, and they try to go get CMC. The other guy you talked about was Burns. I'm just really surprised they didn't go after Quinn, especially with only
Mm.
having to give up a fourth round pick like the Eagles did. That was kind of surprising because they need, as we're gonna talk about, they need help on the other side of Aaron Donald. So that was my biggest takeaway is there's players out there. It's up to the Rams whether or not they want to spend some of those draft picks, and we know they have, but eventually, you know, they're gonna have to pay for it, and they're starting to with all this. They don't have enough debt right now.
Yeah, I think it goes back for me just to end the segment here is like, they need a running back. Let's put it that way. They do need one. Like I mentioned, they're thin right now with all the things going on. But they haven't shown that they could block, that they could do running lanes. Can they be physical? Can they make the running back, be successful? Can they even protect their quarterback? Like their offense has a lot of issues. I think the biggest thing is getting the offensive line figured out. But I am like Cam Inman said, another plug for that interview with Cam. Check it out, House of Horns, that we just posted recently. Like even Cam was surprised. Like running back, especially in the Kyle Shanahan system, they just churn out quickly. Like you got a Raheem Mostert running for 200 yards in the NFC title game. You got Jeff Wilson, Elijah Mitchell, all these guys like that. They just showed you that, like if you could block and you got a good scheme, just plug in your guy who's athletic or could have a little burst. You don't need a Christian McCaffrey. You get by. So it was a hefty price for the 49ers, but they're all in for this year. I think the Rams should focus on getting the offensive line some rhythm, and we'll get into it right now and all the player matchups.
Yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to your player matchup to watch, Gilbert.
Yeah, so just gave myself a good transition here. You know, I think the bye week might have made people forget that this Rams offense was a struggle. They couldn't protect Matthew Stafford. They had no ground game. Like all those issues are still there because another reason why we almost forgot is like they won the game before the bye week. It was against the Panthers, but it was against the Panthers. Like, did that really show you anything? Like, it's been 2 weeks here, and so I want to see the Rams prove to me that they're an improved team, that they got their problems fixed in the bye week. Yeah, Brian Allen's going to help out at center, but you still got three other backups on the offensive line against Nick Bosa. And I know Eric Armstead is dealing with injury. I want to say even Kinlaw. So this defensive line could be shorthanded. But as we've seen before the bye week, Victor, like if you got one stud pass rusher, that's all it takes to be a game wrecker. When you can't even run the football, it's so much easier for these pass rushers to get into a rhythm. So we saw what Nick Bosa did to the Rams offensive line on Monday Night Football. He did it to Joe Nopu. Now he's getting a backup left tackle and Alaric Jackson. Alaric, I got it right. I don't want to butcher his name anymore. That's something that's really been bothering me, Victor. But Alaric Jackson, is taking over at left tackle, and he was playing right guard. I want to say in that Monday Night Football game. I just can't keep track of the combination of the offensive line. I want to say now it might be combination 7 now with Brian Allen coming in, and that's a welcome combination there for Rams fans. But if you can't contain Nick Bosa, this game is pretty much over. Like we've seen this story before this movie, so I want to see Alaric Jackson, who had a nice little debut at left tackle, or at least for this season. I know he's played some tackle before. But he did well against Brian Burns and the Panthers, and I know it was the Panthers again, but we'll see what Jackson does against Nick Bosa, and then even like a Bobby Evans at left guard, uh, right guard Ode Ibushi, and then Brian Allen at center. I should probably just count the whole offensive line. Rob Heavenstein being the other week one starter at right tackle. So if this group could get together and not allow Stafford to take 11 hits and 7 sacks like the first game, you're in a good situation, Victor.
Yeah, and one of the things that I liked about Alaric Jackson was that when he came in for Note Boom, he did really well in that Panthers game. So he's someone to keep an eye on, because I know there was some fans that thought he was a better option, just because I know a lot of people were down on Note Boom. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be a good player matchup to watch between him and Bosa. But for me, it's Shabarius Ward against Cooper Cup. Now, this all prefaces on Van Jefferson being back. If Van Jefferson is back, then it changes things for me, because then he's the guy that can open up things. If you use Van Jefferson to stretch the field, then you have some of those crossing routes. And then to plug our interview with Cam Inman, he also talked about the fact that Treverius Ward was just coming back from, he might have come back too early
Hmm.
against the Chiefs to play his old team. And so for me here, this is where it gets interesting, especially if Cooper Cup can take advantage of that. They're also, since the last matchup against the Rams, the Niners lost mostly, I think is his name, in
Yeah,
the
you
in
got it.
the yeah, he got hurt, so they're down. Their secondary, as Inman told us, isn't as good as it was during their first matchup. Yeah, they still have Hufanga. They have some of the Fred Warner in the middle there, but in terms of their secondary, that's where you can take advantage of. And I'm hoping here with Cooper Cup, he can use some of those crossing routes to take advantage of Shavarius Ward, who isn't probably 100%. So that's my player matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, because Ward's been playing well, and then when Cam Newton told us that he's been playing hurt now and rushing back, that's not good when you're going up against Cooper Cup, who now probably has help with Van Jefferson. So that's the interesting thing for me. Like if Van Jefferson's ready to go, and he is who we all assume he's going to be, Van Jefferson, big play threat, stretch it out. That's a lot of problems for the 49ers. But it was just kind of the same thing like they did the first meeting, where it's just like target Cooper Cup, Cooper Cup, Cooper Cup, Tyler Higbee, Cooper Cup, Tyler Higbee. That's an easy way to defend this team. So I think Van Jefferson provides a different element, and I think he might be at full strength, because I think he was close to coming back a few weeks ago. But remember all the injuries that were piling up for the Rams. They needed that roster spot, so they say, "Hey, let's just play it safe, go on IR, and we'll get you ready." So the more weapons are better, and I think for the 49ers, they get back Jimmy Ward, the safety, who did not play in week one. So we'll see. Uh, we keep checking like who was in that game, who was in that one, who's coming in. Like both of these
Yeah.
teams are dealing with injuries, right?
Yeah, and it's been a couple of weeks. It's like, like we talked about with Cam Inman, like it seems like it was like 2 weeks ago that the Rams played the Niners, like, and it's weird that the series is over, before Halloween, as you said. So yeah, it was like some of the other matchups too. Like I saw the Titans and the Colts are done for the year. It's just weird that some of these rivalry games are done so soon. I don't understand how that worked out, but we're here talking about the Rams and the 49ers, and we have our X factors now. Who is your X factor for this game?
Yeah, speaking of, it feels like 2 weeks ago, Victor. Didn't feel like it. It happened. Christian McCaffrey played the Rams 2 weeks ago. It was just a different team against the Panthers. And one thing that really stood out to me in that McCaffrey Panthers game that the Rams won, McCaffrey was just eating up yards and doing what he wanted to in that first drive, or even the first quarter, where I forget the numbers because it was the bye week came up, right? Uh 60,
Yeah,
man, no,
he
50,
was.
go ahead.
I don't know if this helps, but he had he what was it? It was 73% of the offense
Yeah.
that he was involved for the Panthers.
Yeah, but I felt like the first quarter was like the impactful yards. Like he was eating up.
61 yards
That's
in
what it
that
was.
drive. Yes.
Yeah, and they got a field goal, and then later on, Ernest Jones had that suplex, body slam, whatever you want to call it, on Christian McCaffrey, and it just set the tone. Like, it was late first quarter, and Ernest Jones just threw McCaffrey to the ground, and the whole sideline erupted. Like, oh yeah, that's the Ernest Jones we've been waiting for. So, uh, I want to say if the linebackers, the inside linebackers, Bobby Wagner and Ernest Jones, can keep tabs on Christian McCaffrey, that's a big X factor, because they did a great job just kind of, shadowing the guy. And yeah, he's gonna get his yard as a receiver, as a running back. He's just really that good. Like, it's okay when McCaffrey does that, but you can't let him go for the big home run play. So if Ernest Jones is throwing suplexes and Jalen Ramsey's getting a big tackle in open space, like in that Panthers game with Christian McCaffrey, they set the tone. They're aggressive. They're showing their physical. And we don't talk about it enough, I feel like, Victor. This Rams defense is very good. Oh, here goes the cat. Wow, what a video
There
here.
you go.
What a shot here. He wanted to be
Wow.
he wanted to get some
You want
airtime there. That is Benito the cat there. But yeah, he wanted to get some airtime. And what I was gonna say, this Rams defense is, very good. They're not getting the takeaways or scoring touchdowns. And that's something Bobby Wagner really said he wanted to do before the bye week was make sure you make your tackles, clean that up, because remember Deebo Samuel with the missed tackles on Monday Night Football, that was an issue, and score touchdowns, and that would be big for Matthew Stafford in the offense. But the biggest thing for the X factor here, Bobby Wagner, Ernest Jones, keeping tabs on CMC and just limit the big plays for that all around machine.
Yeah, I think the cat was really impressed with your take there, that he wanted to make sure that you got all the praise there. So
Yeah,
good
we, we
on
got we
him.
got we got to clip that part. That was actually pretty spot on by the cat Benito.
Yeah, exactly. Benito there is no, and for me it comes down for the X factor. I'm gonna stay on the defense, and I know we keep harping on the offense, but for me here the defense is the X factor, because we know Aaron Donald is gonna get most of the attention on defense, especially along the defensive line. So my X factor is anyone along the defensive line that is not named Aaron Donald, and this includes Justin Hollins, Great Gaines, Eshawn Robinson, Leonard Floyd. You name it, it doesn't matter. I just need one of those guys to step up and be able, because we know that Aaron Donald is gonna command all the attention. He's going to get double team. He might get triple team. And so someone needs to take advantage of that. Whoever it is, I'm just saying, like, go ahead, guys, and get a sack. And as you used it against the Panthers as one of your keys, force a turnover. Like, we haven't seen any turnovers from this group. We haven't seen any sack strips, any fumbles, any of that stuff. So it's about time that someone else besides Aaron Donald kind of takes over a game, or does something. It doesn't matter. Either gets a sack, or anything, has some production, because they're really lacking it this year, and he's taking most of the, he hasn't been able to do what he's been able to do before. Yeah, he's had some sacks, but and been able to take over games, but not like we've seen in the past, because he doesn't have help along that line.
Yeah, I'll touch on this real quick. The reason why Raheem Morris kept putting or started putting Aaron Donald on the edge was after that Monday Night Football game where the only quarterback hit they registered was from Aaron Donald. They had no sacks. Jimmy Garoppolo had a clean pocket most of the game, and that's when they're like, okay, there's an issue here. They have no pass rushers besides Aaron Donald. Let's have the stud defensive enforcer on the interior go out to the outside and do it himself. And they did that with the Panthers game as well, but also they're thin. They released Tack McKinley. I don't think Tack was doing too much to begin with, besides having a fight on the sideline with Justin Hollins, because they need the bodies now. So now they only have Justin Hollins, Terrell Lewis, and Leonard Floyd, the three edge rushers. So Leonard Floyd, I know he's dealing with a knee injury, but you got to do something too.
Isn't Bobby Brown is back too, right? He should help.
Yeah, but I feel like he's more of an interior guy. But definitely, he definitely has a pass rush skills that definitely would help. You're right.
And I'll say this: one thing that was kind of disappointing to see in that 49ers game is wasn't Trent Williams out, and
Yeah,
they I mean, and most of their offensive line was banged up, and they still couldn't get any pass rush on Jimmy G. So
yeah.
that was part of the reason why I wanted to bring that up today as an X factor, because you need someone else beside him. And the only hit he got was the one where they messed up and let
It
him
was
go
open.
through
Yeah,
on block. So
yeah.
yeah, that'll be something that hopefully gets rectified in this game, and they have some pass some pressure on Jimmy G. But getting to the keys to the game, what do you have for us, Gilbert?
Yeah, you kind of touched on this. I won't take too long because I wanted to go with your response. I like yours better. But having Troy Hill and Kobe Durant is big for the secondary. Like the secondary play really well, especially when you have like guys like Grant Haley stepping in. I know Grant Haley's dealing with his own injury, but I was actually speaking to Nick Scott in the locker room today. We had a good conversation about how they manage with all the injuries and the secondary, and now how they're bringing in guys back. Like they got David Long back before the bye week. Troy Hill, Kobe Durant, Darion Kendrick, Jalen Ramsey, obviously. So this stack position that we thought, obviously, I think a lot of people thought this secondary is going to be a little unproven, and then you saw Kobe Durant play. You saw some flashes from Darion Kendrick, so they have some depth now, and now they're healthy. So I think that's the key to the game for sure. It might be it might be easier if Debo Samuel isn't on the field, and it just sounds like he probably won't. Like that's just me guessing because when you have like a hamstring pull, like when do you see guys come back for after a
Mhm.
week? And then when they do, it doesn't feel right. You don't want to tear it or make it worse. So like we saw Keenan Allen with the Chargers, he's been out for 5-6 weeks. So everything's different, obviously. Uh, but not having Devo on the Samuel on the field is going to be tough for the 49ers and better life for these corners here for Troy and Cody. But they still got Ayuk, they still got George Kittle. So it's gonna be tough. So these two guys get a takeaway, especially Kobe Durant. He had that takeaway before he got hurt, and he was making some flashes. So we'll see what those guys do, and I think they'll definitely be a big part of this game.
Yeah, and we've been impressed by some of those guys and how they've stepped up. Especially we talked about, oh, who else is going to step up outside of Jalen Ramsey, and they've answered the call, man. Like we said, hey, what about the rest of the guys? And actually, the one that's been struggling sometimes has been Jalen Ramsey, and we've kind of called him out because the other guys, we even saw Nick Scott. I know he's not a corner, but he was the one that had the one takeaway
Yeah,
in what the past 3 games. So yeah, and for me, I'll switch over to the offense, and it has to be establishing the run with Daryl Henderson. And I know you talked about that. They're thin at running back. They have some guys there that they can rotate in and out. Hopefully, the rookie is it Kyron Williams comes. He's able
right.
to play in this game. Um,
I'm
but
pretty.
if
I'm
not,
pretty.
you
Sorry, Kyron Williams. I don't think
go
he
ahead.
will play this game, but maybe next week. But this one, do not hold your breath for Kyron Williams playing this game.
But you still have Malcolm Brown in there, and he's a veteran, and he knows he's been in the system for a while now, and so you have to establish the run. And I think one of the things, as we talked about before with Van Jefferson, is I kind of want to see them take some shots, some long to be able to open things up. And I think in order to do that, you have to run the ball. You have to establish the run, play some ball control, as we saw with against the Niners, they gave up 7 sacks. You can't have that again, especially with teams as you talked about with good pass rushing, which is part of the reason that we haven't picked them when at least you haven't, is when they've gone up against teams that have a good pass rush, and the 49ers have. Another thing that I kind of wanted to go over was something that Cam Ingman kind of brought up, was how the Chiefs kind of exposed them and try to use some of that motion to try to get some of the guys going, guys like Powell, guys like Cooper Cup, those jet sweeps with Ben Skoranek again. Use some of that stuff because, as he said, some of those edge rushers, the way they lined up, you can, and maybe the Shanahan. As part of the problem though is that Shanahan knows everything about Sean McVay, and so he's going to be able to counter it. So I mean, and this is where we talked about before with McVay, is I think sometimes he tries to kind of get in his head too much when he goes up against Shanahan. So if he can establish the run, just keep it simple and try to take advantage of it. So that's my key to the game: establish the run, so that way you can take some deep shots with Stafford and Bad Jefferson.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier in the show, we'll see what happens with Daryl Henderson, but they need him out there, especially with no Cam Akers, no Kyron Williams, and yeah, Malcolm Brown could could probably hold it down for a game. Maybe Ronnie Rivers, a rookie, I want to say from Fresno State, could maybe do something. But yeah, you're probably on the right direction. But there's going to be a whole lot of jet sweeps and wide receivers contributing because if you're thin at the running game, you can't really protect. You got to get creative, and these jet sweeps are really big. And I'm just looking at the 49ers injury report. Like some of these guys on defense, it's going to hurt them if they're doing these jet sweeps because I think the Rams finally figured out how to do it. Again, it was the Panthers, but they finally got a rhythm there. But possibly no Eric Armstead. Sorry, Samson Abuyakam. I don't want to butcher his name, but Samson used to play for the Rams. Who else do we have here? Is it Greenclaw? Yeah, Greenclaw and linebacker. I've seen his name before. And then on the offense, I forgot about Kyle Juszczyk, fullback, probably not playing. So they're dealing with injuries. So the Rams could take advantage of that. Jet sweeps, running game is definitely the way to go. Good call, Vic.
Yeah, especially since you've had a whole bye week. I mean, and that's always the thing with bye weeks is that it takes a little time for the offense to get going or the defense. So this is where you can kind of use the running game to kind of jumpstart your offense, especially coming off a bye week. But as you talked about, man, take advantage of those injuries right now. They're banged up. This is your time to kind of take advantage. You're the team that's rested, and so you want to be able to take advantage of it. And I just want to say one more thing. I know we keep saying it was the Panthers, but we did see the Panthers beat the Buccaneers. So,
Yeah,
hey, I mean, there's that. So
PJ
we can't
Walker.
keep. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe they waited a week before they unleashed their whole team, and we saw it against the Bucks. But who knows? But yeah, it was interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the Rams respond coming out of the bye week. So that's another thing to keep in mind there, because some teams are really well prepared, and some others just take a half before they hit their cylinder and are able to get through the game. But let's get to our betting spotlight here before I keep rambling on. We have the Rams are 1.5 point underdogs. How do you see this line? And then the over under is 43. So Gilbert, 1.5 point underdogs for the Rams at home. Is that a good? How does that line look to you?
It feels about right because all the injuries that the 49ers are dealing with. Like, say, Debo for sure was going to play. I'm sure that line would have been bigger for the 49ers or Christian McCaffrey. And then there's not much of a home field advantage for the Rams because when the 49ers play at SoFi, it's heavy red there, as Cam Inman mentioned on the interview. Make sure to check it out here on
Yeah.
House of Horns. That interview. Um, but I was gonna say, yeah, I think I'm 3-3 against the spread when the Rams are involved. I actually picked the Rams to beat the Panthers last week or 2 weeks ago, but I picked the Panthers to cover, and the Panthers are about to score in that final drive until Nick Scott got that interception. So the Panthers are not covered. So I got that one wrong. But 1.5 still about right. Especially with the Rams getting a little healthy. They're coming off a bye week. Maybe that's good for Sean McVay to scheme up a whole game plan against Kyle Shanahan, his nemesis. Somebody asked him like today. It was funny. Like, hey, you keep losing to Kyle Shanahan, and that's a rivalry. Do you take that personally? And I was like, oh man, like that's a tough question there. But to Sean McVay's credit, he was quick, didn't flinch, didn't hesitate, and had a good PR response there. So, but inside is probably eating at him like, oh man, I got 2 weeks
Yeah,
to beat this guy.
one of his veins probably
Yeah, it's like,
popped. Like,
oh, like no, I can't hang out with you today, wife, or kids. Or no, he has no kids actually. He lives in a mansion. So he's probably all about Kyle Shanahan and being the 49ers and then Christian McCaffrey. So. I understand why they're underdogs, and I understand why it's really close to because the 49ers are not the complete team right now. So that feels about right. And I also do like the 43, right? Like, remember, it was going up a little bit, but it is a low-scoring game. And when these two teams play each other, Brian Allen summarized it like saying like, it's always a fight with these two guys. Uh, Brian Allen was like, yeah, they got Nick Bosa, but we're not scared of those guys. But when you have these struggling quarterbacks and offenses are shaky, it's going to be under, a very low scoring game. So I think the under in that one, I would definitely take.
Yeah, and like you talked about, it's kind of hard, especially when I totally forgot, like it escaped my mind, and I'm gonna say, make sure, I know we keep bringing his name up and Ken Inman, so this is why, because this is why it's important to have interviews with the opposing beat writers, because you get so much information. Yet, like Gilbert is here with the Rams, and he has all the information there, and that's why we have this show. But on the other end, that's why it's important to go and interview the opposing beat writer, because they give us so many details that we had no, And I forgot about the whole crowd thing. We talked
Yeah,
about it against the Cowboys, but it's going to be a big deal, because you're probably going to get 50 to 60% 49er fans. Like, this is they're going to travel down here. A lot of them are here because when the NFL was gone here, away from Los Angeles, a lot of 49er fans, I mean, a lot of LA transplants or fans became 49er fans. So they have a lot of fans down here. And so, yeah, that's going to be a significant problem for the Rams. And I wouldn't be surprised if they've been working on a silent count in practice because of it. I'm sure they know about it. But in terms of the betting here, um, it sounds about right. I'm surprised it's not a bigger line, but like you talked about, it's because the 49ers have a bunch of injuries and they're coming up back-to-back losses. And then the over under at 43 is pretty reasonable, just because, as you talked about, it's a rivalry game. We know that they know these teams know each other really well, and so I don't see that many points being scored here either. So if I was to bet this, I probably, in terms of the over under, because I want to get to our game predictions, I say take the under. I mean, until these teams prove that they can score over 40 points, I'm gonna stay at. I'm gonna take the under in this game. So let's get to our game predictions. Gilbert, I'll let you have the floor here. Give us your game prediction, because I'm actually really interesting to see how you go, because honestly, I don't know how I'm going to pick this game. I might go off of what you say.
yeah. I guess the thing is like you don't want to go off your gut feeling, your first instinct. And when I keep seeing Debo Samuel might not play, the Rams are coming off a bye week. Brian Allen is back. Van Jefferson's back. Like I want to go with the Rams, but I don't want to be fooled again, or at least I got to see it. Like when you play a top dominant defense with great pass rushing, this Rams offense can't do much. And we saw it before the bye week. I'm not gonna forget because it's been 2 weeks. When they faced Micah Parsons, it was bad. When they faced Nick Bosa, it was bad. And Nick Bosa's back again. I know he's missing some help there on defense, but uh, you know, Brian Allen's going to help out because missed assignments was a big part of that Monday Night Football game. And this guy's an experienced veteran center who will keep people in check and bring a tenacity on the field. But until I see this team, because Brian Allen is going to be playing with two different guards he's never really played with before. Bobby Evans on the left, Odi Abushi on the right. It's still going to be a lot of shuffling. And I don't know if this first week of guys coming back will be enough against a stout defense. Yeah, they're missing Devo. They're missing a whole lot. Nick Bosa still on the field. So I'm not going to be fooled again until I see it, until this team proves me wrong. Whenever they play a top defense, I'm going to go the other way. So 49ers, I'm taking them. I want to say, I was going to say 23-20, but that's a push for the under. I don't want to be that guy. So I'll
Don't
go
be that
20.
guy.
Yeah, I'll be 2017 49ers cover. I'll say it's promising for the Rams. Though they show better life here, maybe a good ground game, better protection. But I think right now 49ers and that CMC factor, I'm very intrigued to see what they do for the second game.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning your way. I think the more I go over it, I can go off of what I saw against the Panthers, and I know the Panthers played well against the Buccaneers. We keep wanting to see this team do well just because of what we've seen in the past. but as of this year, they haven't shown it to us. And in terms of, I know that the 49ers have injuries. I know they're coming off back to back losses. They're also looking for a win. And so for me here, I'm going to go with the 49ers 21-17. Until, like you said, until they prove it to us, it's kind of hard for me to pick the Rams here, especially against the 49ers, knowing the history that Shanahan has against McVay. There's so many factors in this game that, in the way that we want to pick for the Rams, we can, because a lot of the things are against them. Their offensive line, we don't know. You talked about with the O line combinations. You also don't know if they're going to be able to protect Stafford. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen them establish the run yet. Defensively, we know what to expect. We know that this defense is really good and they're going to do their job. And so for me, it's kind of, we're just kind of hoping that Stafford doesn't throw a pick six or turns the ball over too many times. And you're asking for a lot there. And so for me, I'm gonna go with you here. And I know that people hate when hosts agree, but in this instance, I mean, I think we've both agree in terms of it's not a good matchup for the Rams right now, and they just don't have the talent, even though the 49ers are hurt.
I think a good chunk of listeners or viewers of House of Horns are booing us right now. We're both going to with the rivals for this week, the 49ers, but I think a good amount also is like, yeah, I can respect that. Like this team hasn't shown us much in terms of protection, a ground game, so much shuffling going on. Yeah, they got reinforcements, but until they prove it to us, you can't really think otherwise. So I think we're being fair here. We saw what happened on Monday Night Football. We saw what happened against the Cowboys. It's just not enough for me to be convinced after the Panthers showing. So promising though, and to get Van Jefferson and Brian Allen. But sometimes when guys come back and they're supposed to be heroes, it takes a game or two to get acclimated. So we even saw with Christian McCaffrey in the 49ers. It took a game. We don't know. It could be longer. Who knows? We'll see. But I think we were fair there. And but yeah, if you disagree, you think we're dumb, leave a comment too. I don't care.
Yeah, and I hope we're wrong. I hope the Rams go out there and they give it to their 49ers and they prove us all wrong, and we're here on the post game show like talking about it, how wrong we were, and we'll talk about it. We'll make sure
Yeah.
that we say, "Hey, we were wrong." So, yeah, but on that note, is there let's go ahead and plug some of your stories. Tell us what you got coming up.
Yeah. Check out my story if you want to read more about Brian Allen, because Brian Allen really opened up about that knee injury. Like he was dealing with that injury since April. The day before the Buffalo Bills game, he had to get his knee drained out. So he was in pain, man. So you want to read that story about Brian Allen playing through injury and not being healthy? OC Register, LA Daily News. I think I'm gonna have a story on this great Rams defense trying to prepare for Christian McCaffrey 2 weeks in a row or 2 games in a row. Do you use the same game plan as the first game? Do you throw it away? How do you approach it with the 49ers? And then pretty much what we just spoke about. Will this Rams show us different? Are they a different team? They got Van Jefferson, Alaric Jackson now left tackle, Brian Allen back at center. You got a lot of moving parts here. Did we forget about this Rams team? Are they still a bad team, or are they gonna be a good team? So that's a big chunk. And obviously Jalen Ramsey speaks on Friday. He's always a good interview. It could be a story on Jalen Ramsey. Uh, Definitely a lot of features. Like we have Troy Hill coming back, Kobe Durant. So I'm probably gonna work the locker room on all these guys showing their face again. So plenty of content. OC Register, LA Daily News. Follow me on Twitter also at gmonsalon24 to see my tweets and link out the stories. And again, thank you for subscribing to House of Horns. We try to do it all here: story, reporting, video, audio, guests. Check out the interview with Cam Inman. We keep saying because Cam Inman just knows the stuff. And when you're a fan of a team, you also want to know the opposing team and you want to be informed. Cam Inman does that for you. Check out that video, House of Horns. But Victor, I think I'm done promoting. Actually, I always got to give the boys a shout out. If you got guys like Justin Herbert, or I guess not Mike Williams or Keenan Allen because they're hurt, but you got Charger players on your fantasy team, check out What's Up Bolts with Fernando Ramirez, Dan and Dago. They do a great job. and they get a lot of good interaction and views on their podcast there. Combat Compas, you're into sports. Combat Sports. Check out that channel. We've spoken to Deontay Wilder, Triple G, Ryan Garcia. Just these big stars in boxing. So and obviously check out regular Compas on the Beat. Victor, you've been killing it with the TikTok game. Follows on TikTok, Compas on the Beat. It's a network. I keep saying it. We're an empire here. Podcast network, media network, all that. Compas on the Beat. Check out all the content that we have.
Yeah, and before we leave, we have to say that Gilberto's take about his candy, Halloween candy, is taking a beating on
Yeah.
Twitter. So if you haven't seen that, please go and vote on it. It's still going on for another day, so please make it make it worse for him. He's down 82% on that poll. So if you can go and comment on it, that'll be great. But yeah, with that
You
said,
wanted to say a different word, Victor. It's okay. You said F on it too. Yeah, Compass is a bit. Like I hear, I'm the Rams beat reporter, but I show a lot of personality on the other podcast. So yeah, I don't like Reese's peanut butter cups. I don't care what you say, and I also like to watch a reality TV show, Love Is Blind. I don't care what you say about that either. But also, if you agree, give me a comment here at House of Horn. So we're not just football reporters. We don't just stick to football here, Victor. So thank you for
yeah.
letting the people know about my candy takes here. But yes, I am ready. We've hit that over the 50-minute mark here. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode of a game preview. Rams against the 49ers, round 2. Halloween's on the way. So be safe, everybody. Have fun. And be a friend. Tell a friend about this podcast. So on that note, ya nos vamos. Pues, vámonos.